Hi, good evening, good evening. Yes, sir. Once again, Mike at night. This is Thursday, 9 o'clock, and we are on the 31st of March, 2022. Thank you so much for joining us in this program here this evening. This evening, I'm all alone, and because I want us to be able to have a chance to rap and to communicate, connect with one another. What I would like you to do is to make sure that you call and let's have a discussion, or WhatsApp. You could call from overseas on our WhatsApp. The telephone line is going to be opened up quite early. The telephone number is 387-7553. That is 387-7553. You could WhatsApp. You can send calls through the WhatsApp if you're overseas, and you can send your messages on to us on Facebook. Let me say hello to Timothy Benjamin, Prim Badri. Good night, good evening. Carol Jamirez, good evening. Let me say hello to Glenda Allen. Good night. Um, Alice John, Sydney Jones, Emlyn Guy, Adrian Sukdio, the whole lot of y'all. Nice having you all on our program this evening. We're going to be talking this prevalent, pervasive, ubiquitous topic about violence and what took place in the Oscar is not going to be it will be a point of reference, but will not be our focal point. I want us to use it as a launch out. I think we have spent so much time on what you all know what the situation with Will Smith, and we are going to play that clip. I've asked the director to edit the expletives, and I want us to be able to talk about it. But I would like us to do some focus on Chris Rock's response, and because I think that we have completely overlooked a laudable example of a response. Now, I want people to know I'm not saying what Chris Rock said was right. I'm not saying I'm not dealing with the aspect of Will Smith. I want us to look at when we develop a violence in a society, we are on a dangerous, dangerous pathway. I surely believe so. And that's why I wanted a time for us to be able to ventilate on this aspect of it and to talk about that aspect, that we need to bring things in order. So, for those who, there's a Bible verse that says this, and I asked the director to put it: people who cannot control themselves are like cities without walls to protect them. What does that mean? That's a Bible verse, by the way. And I didn't. My director did not put where the Bible verse came from, but I hope that he would. People who cannot control themselves. The King James says, a person who does not control their own spirit. That is, you are like a city without walls. What does that mean? Well, it means that walls in the city of the Old Testament was for protection, so that somebody just can't enter your city. So when you are without control on yourself, that means anybody can trigger you. Anybody can push your buttons because you have nothing protecting you. You cannot control yourself. It's a dangerous thing. When people therefore laud, praise, commend people who lose it and say that's the way to go. So, as I said, we're going to use it as a reference. If somebody, like what took place on the Oscars, come forward and he goes because of an offense and hits Chris Rock because of the inappropriate thing that Chris Rock may have said. Chris Rock has children. What if Chris Rock's children says, but my father has just been insulted? What is Chris Rock children to do if the principle is somebody's right to assault and hit you because you are insulted? Are we saying that Chris Rock children should now leave the audience and go and join the stage and do that? then we would have no end of violence. And that's why I really want us to revisit this whole thing, that violence could never be an answer to the issues that we have when we still have dialogue and talking. So we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about, therefore, the whole aspect of emotional intelligence. The guest that we had on last week, Major Mona Riley Devines, said something that stuck with me. We need to start teaching emotional intelligence. That made a lot of sense. And then I'm listening to the governor of the central bank, either in St. Kitts or St. Vincent. And he said, we keep teaching children so that they could pass subjects. And we're not teaching them emotional intelligence. There it was again. So a lot of people can't control their emotion. I want us to talk about that and hear your views on it. But of course, we've got some bills to pay. So let's go pay some bills, and then we'll come right back on Mike at Night. See you around the corner.
In today's society, we need security that is trustworthy, reliable, and efficient. Rapid Response Security Services Limited is here to meet all your needs. Since 1990, this security company leads while others follow, with a commitment to provide satisfaction in service. We specialize in modern and professional security systems. Contact us at 639-3675 or 660-7418, or visit us at the Blue and White Building, Mount Mary, Scarborough, Tobago.
Double B Supermarket, 60 to 62 Government House Road, Scarborough, Tobago. All items reasonably priced, friendly staff. If you don't believe me, you call them, 639-5329. If you ask them any question, they'll tell you. Jesus is the answer.
Don't let the weather of the day dictate your pace. I stayed cool every time I got into my vehicle, and you can too. At Tow School Center of 31 Gaskin Bay Road, Bonaccord, they specialize in auto air conditioning with parts and services catering to your car's needs. Call and ask for tows at 660-8777 or 788-3535. Tow School Center, where a comfortable ride is a cool ride.
Well, we are back. We're talking tonight about whether violence is an option that we're going to use. All right, so that passage of scripture, I see Landon Phillips assisted us by putting Proverbs chapter 25 and verse 28. That's the passage I spoke about just before we went to the break. If you cannot control your own emotion, you are like a city that has no walls. Everybody going to push your buttons. And one would ask themselves, when people who call themselves God-fearing and so on and promote and support this retaliatory angle to things, the Bible says, seek peace and pursue it. I don't want to turn it into a church program, but I think it is necessary, because I think that the Bible has so much to be able to help us to control some of the things in our life. It says, seek peace and pursue it, meaning run down peace at all ends. Any chance you get, try and find a peaceful way to be able to do things. It says about Christ that though he was reviled, insulted, he did not revile. He did not insult back people. They took crown of thorns, put it on his head and say, oh, hail king. Yeah, this is the king all you want. Look at his crown now, thorns. Yeah, but he did not revile. Vengeance is mine, God said. I will repay. So, enough said. I hope that you all understand what I'm saying. Good evening, Joanne Matthews. Blessed and good night to you also. So we need to find a way to be able to deal with it. And we're talking about emotional intelligence. Just before we went to the break, I spoke about Major Mona Riley Devines, who spoke with us about Okay, well, we have our first call. So people, you don't need to wait on the caller. You could just call in. That is 387-7553. Yes. Good evening.
Hi, good evening.
Yes. Director, I hope you are hearing. Yes.
Yeah, you all hearing me?
I am. I just hope they are hearing you. Yes, yes.
All right,
I've been given that everybody's hearing you.
all right. I just want to weigh in on this program as it's as relevant. Saw the video and stuff, all the many videos that circulating, and I want to believe that Chris Rock handled the situation professionally.
Right.
Given the fact that that was a slap, that was no kind of tap on his shoulder or anything like that, or a stern finger pointing at him.
Mm-hmm.
That was a slap. He maintained composure and executed his task without fail.
Yes.
Right, that's what I noticed. He still had a job to do. He still did it. Although stunned, again, we looking at it from, let's say it really happened like that. But the sad part is that little to no one came to comfort him. Yet he stood professional.
Yes.
I don't know. Maybe this is what strong looks like.
Well,
I don't know.
you know, the Bible says, when I'm weak, then am I strong. Sometimes we think strength is arrogance and strength is fighting back, but you could have strength in keeping your calm and keeping your cool under pressure. So I really appreciate. Yes. Yes, go ahead.
So I mean, this situation has affected a lot of people, and it's promoting a kind of violence as we talking about tonight. And in no instance is it a good thing. And so I think, as the topic suggests, I think we could avoid violence, because I did not see or hear anything Chris Rock said that warranted a response like that. It may not have been received, it may not have been proper in someone's eyes or ears, but a talk could have crashed out that afterwards or something like that, but not a public assault.
Yes.
That's my 2 cents there.
All right. Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
No problem.
All right. The poll is up also. I hope the poll is up. The whole poll is going to ask whether you agree that there are greater options, there are greater alternatives to violence. And that's the question for the poll this evening. We're going to ask the director to have the replay of this Oscar. I didn't even know Oscar was taking place. And a lot of people did not even know Oscar was taking place. I'm not even sure if you are even aware of the other people who got awards on that night, because we have taken it down the road. So we talk about the emotional intelligence. We spoke about Mona Riley Devines. I was talking about that. She spoke about emotional intelligence, and the governor general, the governor of the central bank, speaking about that we need to start focusing on training children in emotional intelligence. So what is that? Emotional intelligence is the ability to identify and manage your own emotions. Let me say that again. Emotional intelligence is the ability to identify, I am feeling hurt, I am feeling angry, and then to now move it from there and manage that emotion. Good evening, Mike at Night. Hello.
Good evening. Good evening.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, as usual, it's a pleasure joining in and hearing the conversation on the topic. And I heard you, and I hear the concept, and I wanted to bring in this angle, even if it's just a provoked thought. Okay.
Let me just tell the audience that the poll is up, because some people said that they don't see it sometimes. So the poll is up. So make sure that you answer the poll. It's a yes or no question. Do you support the view that there are better alternatives to violence? Yes. Yes, caller, go ahead. Sorry.
Right, yes. And for me, I think always better alternatives to violence. However, sometimes we have to understand basically the nature of violence. For example, I may realize that a situation is above me and I decide that I want to get down into violent prayer, for example.
Violent prayer?
Yeah, intense prayer, what sometimes we call it, sometimes we say violence, sometimes we call it, James 5 talks about the fervent, effectual fervent prayer of a righteous man. Sometimes you get down into that, right? Sometimes you look at the situation in Ukraine, or you look at situation. If a man breaks into my house and I realize that my family and my daughters are at risk because he's a gunman, and you may have a means of defending yourself. Do you take that means, or do you opt for persuading him with the risk that he may not necessarily be persuaded, and you find out with the death of your family that, well, here's what the act of trying to persuade him may not have been the best one. So the thing is that there is always a better alternative, and if we boil it down to the Chris Rock, Will Smith issue, then clearly in that case, right, if he had maybe thought, maybe drank some water for a little while, he may have recognized that, listen, going up and slapping the guy may not have been the best option, as he has apologized after. In other words, don't do anything that you would be sorry for after. I think that's the recipe there.
Yeah, I would have liked to hear the apology rather than read it, because the apology that was done on the night was verbal. We saw it. I don't know if a PR person wrote the apology.
Right.
You understand? Right. But he has apologized. Yes.
He has apologized, and the thing is that, again.
But I want to put the focus on Chris Rock's response.
Right. And right. Chris Rock, well, I haven't heard any response from Chris Rock. I know that he had a show the day after or last night, and a lot of people came out to the show, and people were wondering, wow, if this, if this thing wasn't that good for Chris Rock. And then some people asked, well, maybe this thing was staged because the show was so sold out because of what had happened. But I remember that Chris Rock said that he hasn't responded to it as yet. But when he responds, it will be good and it will be funny. I didn't understand what that really meant. But
it meant that it will be good and it will be funny.
Yeah, exactly.
Right, but no, you were mentioning, caller, that if somebody breaks into your house, even then, violence may not be one's only option. And I'll tell you what, a true story of a gentleman that I know. He arrived home and upon entering his home, recognized that something was wrong. He recognized that somebody may have broken into his house. I think it's because of the easy access he had to get into the house. And found that there was a gentleman in the house in the process of burglaring his house. He who entered the house is larger than the burglar. He can take down the burglar.
If he could catch him.
Well, he felt he had enough whatever it is to be able to tackle the burglar and really come out looking like a hero. So I asked him, what did he do? He said he recognized when and this is where emotional intelligence comes in. He assessed the situation and he said, I can take him down, but the scramble that we will have, clearly the burglar is not aware that his family is asleep in the house still. So the scramble and the noise may cause his children to come rushing out and his family to come rushing out, and then he'll have a new problem on his hand. Emotionally intelligent, he's able to assess the situation, control this ego of wanting to do. Here's what some people say: boy, I would have lashed that man, I would have pulled out my punya, and they're going into that whole emotional thing that we like to go into as men. But he had a family to think about. So I said, then how did you handle it? He said what he did, he was already standing at the door, so which means he's blocking the gentleman's way of escape. He said he slowly moved away from the door with his eyes kept on the burglar constantly. So as he's moving on the side, the burglar is moving also towards the door. So they're doing like almost a 180-degree turn. And as soon as the burglar met the door, he ran outside. He said that was his best option under that circumstance.
And I agree that definitely perhaps his best option
at that time. No, not every situation is going to be like that.
Exactly.
But I'm just showing you. Right. I'm just showing you what emotional intelligence allows you to assess a situation and avoid the worst case scenario. What we had there, I don't think we had an assessment of the situation, emotional intelligence coming up there and saying, listen, this is not going to look good. It's at the highest point of my career. And even the woman that I'm trying to protect, there's a high chance her name is going to be dragged through worse than before. Because now, the things that they are saying now, I never even knew his wife, never knew his wife had this condition, never knew all of this and so on. But I'm seeing so many memes about her that you're asking.
And not only that, there are some men who are also thinking, because they know of this story of some other man and that kind of thing, they are bringing that back up. You know? So, you know, it's really wasn't a wise move at all.
All right, so we have some things on Facebook that I need to read. I'm going to ask the director to start lining up the replay of the event. Let me just read a couple things while he's replaying it. There is something called reasonable force, which will use unreasonable force. Chris Rock is a real man. Chris Rock can manage his ego. That's what I call a WhatsApp message comes in and says. Violent prayers, yes. All you're good. That's Sidney Jones. It's the first time I'm hearing that phrase, actually, a violent prayer. He should have drunk some water and mind his business. I think fervent and violent prayer are a little bit different. All right. Cecil Millington says, if there is a breaking and entering, I see as something different. This is someone imposing on your private and intent on harming the occupants of the home. And the law says you are entitled to defend your castle. And even if in defending your castle that you assault somebody, the law also is on your side. But this is nothing to do of a defense. Technically, this is an insult. And I'm wondering if it is the insult to her because she was laughing it. He was laughing it. In fact, after he came down, as you would have seen some of the things, after he came down, she herself was laughing the subsequent response of Chris Rock. I'm going to go to there are two videos we're going to go to in just a while. Adrian Wheeler said it may not be a publicity stunt that his sales went up, but maybe that people just attending with hopes of getting some comedic insight to the incident. All right. The guy is a comedian, says if people want to hear him talk about it, he may as well make a profit. So of course he'll make it. Yeah. All right. Okay. All right. So let's go with the incident and let's look at it.
You know who's got the hardest job tonight? Javier Bardem and his wife are both nominated. Now, if she loses, he can't win. He is praying that Will Smith wins. Like, please, Lord. Jada, I love you. G.I. Jane 2, can't wait to see it. All right? That was a nice one. Okay. I'm out here. Richard. Oh, wow. Wow. Will Smith just smacked the shit out of me.
Keep my wife's name out your mouth.
Wow, dude.
Yes.
It was a G.I. Jane jump.
Keep my wife's name out your mouth.
I'm going to, okay? Okay. That was a
Wow.
greatest night in the history of television. Okay. Okay.
Yeah. There you see. The man is lost for words. What would it take somebody not to want to retaliate with a good left hand? What would it take? Yeah. I don't know what went through his mind. I really don't know. But I think that sets a stage for a training that I would like to see us set for our children. You see the other method? I don't want our children to be taking it that as soon as somebody says something that you don't like, that you have to physically hit them. There are so many recourse that we have in law. If you feel that there was something, that there are things that you could have done to be able to deal with it. So many other options. Trust me, people, I'm begging you all, do not let us take on this thing where we're telling our children, once somebody insult you, you have a right to lash out and hit them. I don't want us to go down that road, because the same way how there's going to be retaliation on the other side. Langdon Phillips says it's quite clear that Will evidently took other factors into place. He laughed at the joke initially, which would have more than likely been fake. When he saw his expression, he acted. Well, when he saw her expression, he acted. It is because he deemed her to be hurting, or is it a bit more about where things are in their relationship? Him feeling she may say or feel he did nothing, making things worse. So all of that may be true, but it comes back to the same point. Going up there and doing what he did cannot be the answer that we have to look at. All right, so let's take the other one now. Let me just read this text that came in on the WhatsApp. Let me just remind you the telephone number is 387-387. Let me say that 387-7553. 387-7553. You could either give us a WhatsApp call. If you're out of the country, you could call the code first, 868-387-7553. Let me ask the director to put the code on the telephone number. 868-387-7553. This caller said, I think Will did what typical Trinbagonians would have done. And then, trust me, there are some people would never have taken it like that. In our culture, the greatest verbal insult in our culture is to tell someone about their wife or their mother. That generally starts a fight. And I know one of my sons in primary school, it was when somebody said something about his mother and he struck the boy. I had a talk with my son and told him that while I appreciate him standing up for his mother, hitting the boy because of what he said is not the right thing to do. He has other options. And we sat down and we discussed the other options that he could have gone into besides a fight. Because one of these days, you're going to pick a fight on somebody who's stronger than you are and badder than you are. What does that do for the same mother that you are protecting and you are standing up for? That mother, after you are in jail, is not going to be proud and say, oh, my son is in jail because he tried he hit a guy because he felt I was being insulted. No mother worth her salt is going to be saying that. I'm trusting you on that. Because it still does not work in the interest of what you are saying. Sometimes it is our own personal ego, but we're doing it as though we are doing it for other people. Sometimes it's our own ego. You see? All the time he understood, said Sydney, that Will has like 50 pounds over him and is trained in boxing. Veronica said all the time he laughing and suddenly he upset. That is a mad rule. All right. Okay. So what we want to focus on is promoting. I don't think that people understood what it took for somebody in front of millions of people not to retaliate. Okay. All right. Let's go to the next film. Or do we need to take another break? Do we need to do another commercial break, or did we going straight to the film? All right, let me just read this one here. Hi, Mike. If you look at Jada, when that particular comment was made, she wasn't happy. Will smile to me seem to be fake. Okay. All right. Thank you. All right, let's go to our break. Let's pay the sponsors. Double B Enterprises, Toes School Center, and of course, Rapid Response Services. Thank you all very much for making today possible.
In today's society, we need security that is trustworthy, reliable, and efficient. Rapid Response Security Services Limited is here to meet all your needs. Since 1990, this security company leads while others follow, with a commitment to provide satisfaction in service. We specialize in modern and professional security systems. Contact us at 639-3675 or 660-7418, or visit us at the Blue and White Building, Mount Mary, Scarborough, Tobago.
Double B Supermarket, 60 to 62 Government House Road, Scarborough, Tobago. All items reasonably priced, friendly staff. If you don't believe me, you call them 639-5329. If you ask them any question, they'll tell you Jesus is the answer.
Don't let the weather of the day dictate your pace. I stayed cool every time I got into my vehicle, and you can too. At Tow School Center of 31 Gaskin Bay Road, Bonaccord, they specialize in auto air conditioning with parts and services catering to your car's needs. Call and ask for tows at 660-8777 or 788-3535. Tow School Center, where a comfortable ride is a cool ride.
On Thursdays, 9 o'clock, we're talking about the Oscar debacle, and we're talking about this whole aspect of an option other than violence. All right, so let me say, just before I go to read some of the things that you all have said, that you can call us at 868-387-7553. And, yes, we had what we call statesmen and stateswomen. Margaret Thatcher, some of those people, Eugenia Charles, some of these people who were prime ministers and significant people, Norman Manley, Eric Williams, and some of those people is what you call statesmen. And I suspect that they used to be called statesmen and stateswomen because of the way they carried themselves, very stately. Even when they insulted with a bit of finesse and decorum in what they said. There's a flowery way they said it that you could know that you have just been insulted, but you have not been, it has not gone down into the gutter of wajang kind of language. I am not too sure, unless you all could tell me, who is our Caribbean statesman today who commands a level of respect. And those statesmen in days gone by, when they walked into a room, you felt them. They were revered. They were understood that even though they are voted out of party, there was a certain way that they demitted office. And it wasn't with rancor and accusation and so. They just demitted office and they would wait for the next election and they'll fight. When they're on the campaign trail, they would do a certain thing. They'd have the heckle, they'll have the things, but it had a decency in the things that you said. But over the years, statesman and stateswoman thing has seemed to be watered down. We say certain things and then people are having to come back and apologize because it was not well thought out. It was not well processed. Remember we said emotionally intelligent is the ability to identify and manage your own emotion. You're not letting your mouth walk off on you. Adrian Suknio says the best statesman we have now is Trevor Sayers. Boy, you something else. AJ says Mr. Robinson. All right. Ellis Clark says Charmin boys. And I see yes. AJ is saying Mrs. Groom Duke as a stateswoman. Yes. Okay. All right. Chris Rock, according to the WhatsApp, is solid on the principle he lives by. In our culture, the greatest verbal insult in our culture is to tell someone about their wife or their mother. That generally starts fight, and that is so true. All right, let's go to the next clip, Mr. Director.
There's no excuse. There's absolutely no excuse for Will Smith slapping Chris Rock. Absolutely no excuse. But, for those that are willing, there is an explanation. Will Smith, in chapter 1, sentence 1 of his autobiography that came out just 4 months ago, he opens up by saying, all of my life, I looked at myself as a coward, and he looked at himself as a coward for this reason. Because he grew up and watched his father be emotionally, verbally, and physically abusive to his mother. Will Smith goes on to say, and I quote to some degree, that regardless of all the highs, all the trophies, and all the accolades, his life has been marred by his one moment of inaction when he was 9 years old, I believe, and his father punched his mother so hard that blood came out of his mouth. Will says that his whole life has been marred by the moment of inaction of not standing up to his dad. That's the inner turmoil that Will Smith has wrestled with in not defending the woman that he loved, his mom, over the verbal, physical, and mental abuse of another man. Fast forward to 2022. What is occurring? Chris Rock makes a joke about Will Smith's wife, Jada's hair. Mind you, Jada suffers from alopecia, an autoimmune disease. Jada Smith has been very public with the fact that she shaved her hair bald because she did not want to deal with seeing her hair go into bald spots in different aspects, so she just conceded to the defeat of this autoimmune disease. Chris Rock makes a joke. Of course, Will Smith laughs at the time in this congregation of national television, but he quickly looks left at his wife, Jada Smith, who is not at all laughing, y'all. No, not at all laughing. Yeah. And so Will Smith now has a decision to make. How can I stop this pain being caused to my wife? Because Will Smith again said his career has been marred by the inaction to the woman he loved, his mother. Now there is the woman he loves either most or second most in the world, his wife. And she is being damaged emotionally because of this joke. That was the reason for Will Smith's action in my mind. No excuse for Will Smith publicly putting hands on another person. We don't know what Jada's going through. But if Jada's crying herself to sleep at night, if Jada's having thoughts of self-harm, if Jada's sitting here questioning her self-worth, because in Hollywood, oftentimes your self-worth is attached to your beauty. And if your self-worth is attached to your beauty, and oftentimes for black women, their beauty is attached to not just their complexion, but attached to their hair, then who knows if Jada Pinkett is in a deep, dark hole of despair because of her hair, and you gonna get a joke off about it? I understand the why of Will Smith. I don't agree with the what, but I do understand the why.
All right, there you go. Tell me what you think. Do you agree with him? Let me see. What some people saying? I wonder if Chris Rock, Joanne Matthew is saying, I wonder if Chris Rock accepted Will Smith's apology. AJ saying, so Chris Rock paying for Will's father's mistake? All right. Let me see what's happening on the WhatsApp. WhatsApp us 387-7553. Yeah. Person says, saw a video where one of the hosts, Wanda Sykes, said Chris Rock came to her after the show and said, I'm so sorry. She asked, sorry for what? He responded, I'm sorry because I know this was supposed to be your night and all the other hosts' night, and now this took that away from you all. This is the kind of person he is. Okay, you see? Consideration. All right, I was not aware that that event took place. Thank you for bringing that up. Yeah. So feel free to call. Feel free to share with us. We have about what is it? We have about 8 minutes again, or no, 17 minutes. Yeah, almost. Yeah, we are almost down to 15 minutes now. So call us 387-7553. Tell us what you think. Tell us what you think. And so we're talking about that there's an option besides violence. Let's not use violence as our first option. So sometimes I agree that you may need to use it to defend yourself, but we don't need to use it to offend, to go on the attack for other people. You know, there's a young man that I knew. He was liming with some guys, and you know, a fight broke out among the guys, and it was an unnecessary fight, but it shows the collateral damage that takes place, that he went into part the fight between all of them are friends, and he got stabbed in the process and died. I wonder whether that was not a life wasted, an unnecessary death. A nice young man, made some mistakes along his way, but wanted and started to pull himself together to get things together. But his crowd of friends still had the violent tendency, and he wanted to try and stop that, and intercepted the fight and paid with his life to do it. That mother, I'm not too sure that mother has ever recovered, because that mother from then on she always mourned the death of her son. What are those guys who were in the fight saying? The one who started it and the one who supported it, joining. Trinidad and Tobago is an angry society. It's a violent society. We don't need more people sanctioning violence more than it is already. We need to bring down that temperature. Lucinda Stewart said, what angers you controls you. Absolutely. What Chris said is this. This is from Charmin Boys. He doesn't watch the Red Table Talk, so he didn't know about her disease. He thought she saved her hair for a movie. Yeah. Okay. Adrian said you can't go around assaulting people because your past was laced with violence. This means that anyone can shoot up a school because their father was abusive or rejected them. Please get the help you need. Absolutely. Get the help you need. All right. Let me see what's on the text. Most time violent people usually have a childhood trauma. Wow. And that's why we need to help people. We really need to help people out of the situations that they are in. Yeah. All right. That text, I don't know why you erased it, but you know, I would have really liked to know what you wanted to say. Yeah. All right. This is 868-387-7553. We are talking about the options besides violence. We must be able to find some way to be able to do it. Now, one of the things that, somebody who does not choose violence is considered soft. Considered soft. Let me see. Hello, good day.
Yes, hello?
Hi.
Yes, I deleted. What I really wanted to say is that this is Mike at Night, right?
Yes, you're on mic at night. Yes, ma'am.
Yes. What I really wanted to say is that a woman having alopecia, or when a woman here is very dear to her, and having alopecia, it's some form of a shame. Now, to bring that out, it's not a good thing. So I think that is why Will reacted. However, there is absolutely no reason for him to react the way he did. And we have to thank God that Chris Rock, being a comedy professional, knew how to handle the situation in a live audience.
Thank you so very much. If that was what you did text, I'm glad that you called and said it, because I think that was quite powerful.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you very
Have a
much.
good night.
All right. Wow. Yeah. Absolutely. And you heard the balance she brought. She was empathetic concerning Jada and her hair, but she never did support the violent response to the situation that Chris Rock created. Timothy Benjamin said, "Be angry and sin not." That's what the Bible says. That's right. Sidney Jones, the Academy Awards are acting as if they don't have a security team. I'm telling you, somebody would have put somebody out already if it were you and I. Yeah. Okay. Ian Critchlow said, violence is never the answer. Will was also asked to leave after this incident and refused and was allowed to stay for the rest of the event. Ian, are you serious? He was asked to leave and he said no, and they said, all right, sorry. I didn't know that. Okay. That's news to me. Sadly, said Langdon Phillips, sadly, we men are schooled that way from boyhood. Okay, I gotta take that. Don't take this or that. Beat him. If you lose, swing back. Sad times. Yes, I've known of parents telling their children, don't take no lash from nobody. And then the child grows up telling himself he's taking no lash from nobody. My father used to tell me, there's a reason there's a principal in the school, teachers in the school. Well, we didn't have guidance counselors then, but they had school supervisors and all of that. There's a reason for them. Use them. And he would tell me, don't come home here and tell me that you hit a boy when you could have gone to a teacher. And he himself, being a retired headmaster, would never have allowed me to come home there justifying hitting a boy, especially if I have not sought out more meaningful resolution to it than hitting back and violence. And I am proud of that kind of upbringing. Some people will call that soft, but it has saved me a lot of heartache, because I've had friends who have gone the other route. Some of them have visited the jail as residents. I have visited the jail in order to be able to do some form of work with the prison inmates. I don't want to be no resident in no jail. So let's say after a while your story gets old, seek the help you need, or we all have the past. And yes, I appreciate that, Avanel Mackenzie. Let's seek the help we need, because let me tell you, all of us, and it is not the fact that he got angry, is it, that people dealing with, is the way you deal with it. That is where the challenge is. All right. Veronica, I really appreciate all of you already giving us all of these feedback. Maybe Will wanted to get back at Chris Rock, and knowing the sort of life they are living, it was bound to make a statement. If you notice, Jada looked at Will, but violence is not the way to go. That's right. All right. All right. Let me see here now. Mr. Stewart, I walked away from violent situation and got teased until I fought with one who everyone thought could have easily beaten me up. Yeah. And you see, sometimes you might be stronger and you might win that fight. The person may go for a gun or a weapon and pounce upon you unawares. There's a gentleman that I want to invite to speak with us. This is a gentleman who has been incarcerated. I think he was incarcerated for, was it for assault or murder, or one of them? I must remember, and hopefully I'll have him on next week, and he will tell you his story. And he will be able to bring out this whole concept of violence, and I think he has learned his lesson. So we look forward for that next week. I see the poll saying 100% of person says there are greater and better alternatives than violence. And I appreciate all of you saying so. Yes. Today was the C exam, and I'm wondering when part of the examination will be on anger management in the near future. Yep, we should be teaching that. In fact, I want to bring somebody on to talk about emotional intelligence so that we could be able to have that. Let's suppose backstage Chris had retaliated. What would have been the outcome? And some of these guys have licensed firearms, you know. You know how many people in the audience may have been hurt and a stampede could have begun. Boy, I'm telling you, just the thought of the outcome of these things. And this is why many times when it have events that crowds going to be there, knowing the way how our people behave, I don't rush for those events. If you see it on TV, I think I would rather with that, because some people just think that they must be in the fracas. I don't think Jada has anything to apologize for. She didn't hit anybody. All right. I don't know if Sid is responding to somebody else who said something. Jada was seen from another angle laughing. Okay. Yeah. I don't think Jada, because no, I agree with Lucinda. Oh, who is it who said it? Sydney. That Jada needs to apologize for anything. Jada did nothing that spurred this event. I don't know whether she has done things prior that caused it to escalate at this point. But no, I agree. I agree with Sydney. All right. Let me see. Women like men who will violently defend them. Yeah. You all know of some that have violently defended women and they got killed in the process. Sometimes you read about in papers, two men break out fighting over a woman. One get killed and the next one spends the rest of his life in jail, and the woman goes with a third man. Tell me if that makes sense. I might not be too bright, but to me, that makes no sense. Yeah? Because she gets freedom from both of these two guys. All right. Let me make sure that I gather all those who may have made their comments. Yeah. All right. Let me just say 387-7553. We could take probably one more call before we close it down. 387-7553 or what's up? Josan Bellot says, Will may be trying to show off how bad he can be since pictures have been circulating about she being with Tupac. I don't know. That's what she said. All right. Maybe. Show off how bad you are. How bad could you get? Do we really need to impress people that we don't like? All the people that, there are some things that we do to show off to people. Bravado. To show how strong we are. Impress people. And half of those people we don't care about. Why do we need to impress them? I don't know. Choose a right way. I'll tell you a story, and I think this is a nice story I want us to end with, to show emotional intelligence. There's a lady who was teaching, I'm not going to call her name, doing a training program for us. We were talking about customer service and how do you respond under pressure when you meet irate people and so on. And this is her story. She said she was working at an airline and she was checking in flights. The flights were overbooked. This is not her fault. This is an institutional issue. Overbooked the flight, but she's the one facing the customers. The flight is overbooked. And she's explaining to a couple that came before her, the flight is overbooked. We are sorry. We'll have to put you on another flight, a later flight. The gentleman was not very happy. The woman, his spouse, was even more unhappy. And they said that they needed to get on a flight. And they, even if you have to take off somebody off of this flight and put them, but they are not staying and so on. But the woman in particular was, I understand, was the one who took over the fight. Along the way, what the woman did, in her anger, lack of emotional intelligence. Emotional intelligence is the ability to identify and manage your own emotion, which means I know that an anger is coming up inside of me and I detect it and I will take action for it not to overcome me. So she's getting angry and she's getting more angry. And she hawked, for those of you who know, she pulled up phlegm from within her chest and spat in the face of the customer service agent at the airport. Now I ask you, what would you do if something like that happened to you? When I ask people that when I'm doing training programs, they say, Mr. Stewart, is that before they fire me or after they fire me? Because they say they will take the kind of action, and the kind of action that they will take, they jumping over that counter, raft that lady, and the lady who spat in her face was a white woman spitting in the face of a black person who is the customer service person. And they said that what they would do and so on. Well, here's what the lady said that she did. From my understanding, the lady said she reached below the counter, pulled out her kerchief, wiped her face of the spittle, and said to the lady, you will hear from my lawyers. Emotional intelligence. Managing, identifying, and managing and bringing it under control. When it went to the lawyers... I didn't understand that. I'm sorry for that person who talks like that. When it went to the lawyers, the lady's lawyer told them, this is a case you all had better settle out of court. Because here's what they told the lady. Okay. Sorry about that. This is what the lady said. The lawyer told the lady. Had the customer service agent retaliated, did something, we could have gotten her on a technicality. We could have said, well, she started the fight. We could have said that she angered you. But the lady, from your report of what has taken place, she did nothing to inflame. She made sure she did nothing to be accused of. You're listening to what emotional intelligence does? Had she responded, she might have wrapped the lady, gotten also involved, becoming where she's also a complicit in the assault. None of that. So they had to settle out of court. I understand that the amount that was settled out of court, the lady said she has never worked again for somebody after that. Emotional intelligence. She would have lost all of that. That's how you have intelligent people who have good jobs, intelligent people who are good politicians, intelligent people who are good in school, and scuttle all of that because they can't control their emotion. That's the message I want to leave with you all tonight. Yes, it is better to control yourself and your emotion than allowing yourself to be driven down the road with anger. Get help if you need it. This is Mike at Night. Thank you very much for tuning in. We'll be with you next Thursday, same time at 9 o'clock on Facebook and on Label TV Network. Ciao. God bless y'all.
In today's society, we need security that is trustworthy, reliable, and efficient. Rapid Response Security Services Limited is here to meet all your needs. Since 1990, this security company leads while others follow, with a commitment to provide satisfaction in service. We specialize in modern and professional security systems. Contact us at 639-3675 or 660-7418, or visit us at the Blue and White Building, Mount Mary, Scarborough, Tobago.
Double B Supermarket, 60 to 62 Government House Road, Scarborough, Tobago. All items reasonably priced, friendly staff. If you don't believe me, you call them, 639-5329. If you ask them any question, they'll tell you. Jesus is the answer.
Don't let the weather of the day dictate your pace. I stayed cool every time I got into my vehicle, and you can too. At Tow School Center of 31 Gaskin Bay Road, Bonaccord, they specialize in auto air conditioning with parts and services catering to your car's needs. Call and ask for tows at 660-8777 or 788-3535. Tow School Center, where a comfortable ride is a cool ride.